Welcome to Girl Talk with Amy, Anna, and Lisa.
Come on, girls. Yeah, you know it's our world. So tell me, where the girls at? Come on, girls.
Like many girlfriends, we get together, share what's going on with friends, families, life in general, good, bad. We're always here to support each other. When we visit each other, we spend time doing our girl talk in the comfort zone. The comfort zone is a place where we can be very vulnerable with each other, no judgments. We want to make sure we're uplifting and helping each other when we're down. However, when we're having great success, we're definitely supportive and we're cheering each other on. We are here to support all of you. We realized one day that we had to share this message with others. What we talk about in the comfort zone is something that can empower women all over the world. And we wanted to bring you into our world where we meet once a week. We hope that you enjoy our show. Please like, subscribe, and share with others. We'd love to hear back from you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Girl Talk. How are you, everyone, this week? I am truly excited to let you know that we have a fantastic guest in the house, Miss Kama Burton. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody?
Good. I will tell the viewers that Kama is a licensed real estate agent. She's been in the industry for 15 years, currently the treasurer at her local IVAR. And we're talking to the big cheese here because she's the 2021 president-elect for, like I said, IVAR in her area. She does something very, very unique. You know, we hear often about how do we serve the community? How do we serve others? What can we be doing to help? Well, Kama is unique in the fact that she actually put some time, energy, and money into this and focused her efforts on mentoring young girls. I was hoping that you would give us a little bit of background, spend some time telling us how you got started, how you went from real estate transactions over here to mentorship with the girls.
Well, I'm glad to be here. One of the things I want to highlight that I'm actually a real estate broker. I have had my broker's license for 1 year, well, almost 1 year. November 19th will make 1 full year. So I've been in this industry, as you mentioned, for a while, for 15 years. And I started my mentorship because of something I've been through. Statistics say that 1 out of 4 women will experience physical violence in their lifetime. And I'm here with 4 women, and I am the one that experienced domestic violence. So from there, I started a nonprofit called Loving Me First. And Loving Me First was created to help people that have been affected by domestic violence, both directly and indirectly. Well, out of that, I just have a heart to give and a heart to help. And I decided to start a mentorship program at a school because of some drama that the girls were having. Unfortunately, we still have it in our adult age. So I'm trying to stop it at an early age. And we've been going since the 2015 to 2016 school year in my children's school district. This mentorship program was to help the girls discover who they are, learn how to love themselves first, because when we focus on ourselves, we have a slimmer chance to fall into some of the pitfalls that we fall into when we get a little bit older.
So that was your personal growth journey. I mean, literally being one of the statistics, right? And so
Absolutely.
I obviously that's definitely a very private situation that, you know, I don't know how comfortable you are with sharing all of that.
I'm open. Sure. So I started this nonprofit and because I'm open about my story. Now, do I share every single detail? No, there's some details that even if I talk about it, I get really teary-eyed, but I'm very open with what I've been through because I am that voice that will speak for those who are afraid to, that are in high positions, who have their own businesses and doing some great things out there, but they never want anybody to know what they've been through. So I'm hoping that through me and through my story and through the stories that they share with me, I can help other people and help our young girls. So I'm open. I'm an open book. So if you have questions about that, you can let me know. But you did mention about the healing process. So I had just gotten out of a little bit of depression a couple of years before that, before I started the mentorship program. But I didn't realize how much I was still healing until I began to talk about certain things to help the girls. And I realized that this was therapeutic for myself as well. So everything that I was telling them was things that I was working on, but I began to dig even deeper into it. So it's helped me by leaps and bounds by being able to help somebody else has been just helping me just hugely.
So Kama, I have to ask you, how long ago were you in this situation? How long did it take you to get out? What was that whole process? Tell me about that journey.
So I actually married at the age 19. It was one of my lifelong dreams, wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And we married at 19. The physical abuse for me started when I turned 20. And now me and my ex-husband, we actually dated throughout high school. I met him when I was in 9th grade. He was in 10th. And so we dated. I didn't see any real signs of domestic violence that I could tell at the time. Now that I look back, when you're young, you don't see things such as play fighting, which I don't know. I tell girls all the time, do not play fight because things get serious. My mom actually caught us play fighting one day, and she must have called me so loudly, told me, get my tail upstairs, because she seen something. She said, I see something that's not right. She seen something more than I did. But, things like that, some of his behavior with other girls, things like that, I didn't look at because it wasn't me. So we married, but I was in that marriage for the first time. So let me be clear. The first time I was in that marriage for 9 years, and I married him. I divorced him. And I got to a point of loneliness with my ex-husband. He's the first man I had been with, my first real relationship. And I didn't want to let go. So I had a lot of pressure, a lot of things. I didn't want to be a statistic. So we ended up marrying about 3 years later. And I stayed married to him for a total of 1.5 years. So I tell people that I've been with him for a total of 12 years, because from the time we got married to the time of our divorce, it was a total of 12 years. And during that time, I dealt with, it was physical abuse, then it became emotional, and it became sexual abuse, it became financial abuse. And so I dealt with all of this during this time. He stalked me. I'm literally sitting right next to the parking lot that he was stalking me when I was at a church that I'm sitting right across from, that I can see out of my office window right now, where he would sit out there and just stare at me. And I left and came back and he was just there. So I dealt with stalking, and that was tough. And that's just something in itself that I don't wish upon anybody. So that was about 12 years of that. And so we actually officially divorced December of 2010. I had filed for a divorce 6 months after we originally, the second marriage. It was final the year after that, December, the year after that. And so I have been away from him from December 2010 until we're here November, almost 10 years later. I did deal with some stuff, I will say, a couple of years even after that, where it got real crazy and just very weird. I found out he had moved around the corner from me, never knew. And so I was dealing with this for a couple of years afterwards. And I tell you, I'm just going to be honest with you, I am a woman of God. I'm a woman of prayer. Prayer changes everything. So I prayed about it. The Lord gave me some specific instructions of what to do. I did those specific things, and he has been officially out of my life, away from my house since about 2012. So it's been about 8 years, have not seen him, not dealing with him. And here we are, a total of 10 years later after my divorce, and 8 years later after the stalking and what I was dealing with. And I tell you, it was a journey, mentally. When you're talking about leaving a situation where you were in love, or what you thought was love at the time, with someone, and you had children with this person, you have slept with this person, you woke up with this person, you shared your life with this person. It's very hard to let go. And that's why I tell people, and I teach my girls, don't bring down the next person just because they're still there. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't understand the psychological things that you deal with when you're dealing with a man that you love, and he's treating you nice in some areas, and it's only these few times that you feel like he's treating you wrong. So don't do that. So for a while, I had to look at myself, because I began to blame me. I kept saying, it's my fault. It's my fault he's treating me this way. And what did I do? And even during the marriage, I kept saying, what can I do to make things better? And I kid you not, every single thing I tried to do to make it better, it seems like it got worse. I could not, I always say I couldn't win for losing. No matter how hard I tried, I kept losing. I just felt like I was losing. But what it took for me was definitely mindset. Like, I look in the mirror, I tell myself how beautiful I was, but it took me many, many, many years to truly believe that I was beautiful. But I had to look in the mirror and tell myself that. I began to journal and write out my feelings. I even went to therapy, something I said I would never do, because I've learned you just pray and give it to the Lord and he'll work it out. But then the Bible tells you that there's safety in the multitude of counsel, meaning that you need to go talk to the professionals. Prayer does work if you work it. So he's telling you pray, and I'll lead you in the right direction of where you need to go. So I was able to get a great therapist. And I tell you, I kid you not, I went to one session. I promise you, I felt like I was healed. She told me one thing. This was about 3 years after we were together. She said, you know what? She said, your ex-husband is still controlling your mind. I said, what? You got to be kidding me. And I kid you not, I cut him off mentally from there. I didn't even realize it. So from that, I just began to grow, to discover me. You know, that saying of, I lost myself, I got to find myself. And I used to say, what are you looking for? You're standing right there, go look in the mirror. But I literally had to find myself. I had to know who I was again. Like, I was a cheerful, like, the person I am today is who I was pre my marriage, pre the abuse. I was so lucky. I was always helpful. I was who I am now, but I allowed him to turn me into something different. So I began to do different things to help me build to where I am today.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's amazing. That is an amazing story.
Thank you.
I can't believe that's such a long period of time.
It is.
And I mean, people don't know, and they just continue because that's just what they know. They're comfortable with what they do know. So they're not comfortable actually stepping outside. You don't know, you're fearful.
It's not easy. I mean, we just got to be real. It's not easy. You can't say that, you can't tell somebody it's easy if you have not walked a day in their shoes. To just tell somebody to get up and leave, or just don't worry about him, don't deal with him, don't go back to him or her, because you'd be surprised. They say 1 out of 7 men have been abused. So we can't make this assumption that a person can just get up and go when this thing called love is a factor. It's just not easy. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care. He could be beating you every single day. It is hard to say, yes, I can go do it and do it on my own, especially when it's somebody that's taking care of the household. I mean, there's just all of these different dynamics. Again, it goes back to why I teach the girls about the importance of independency, but not being so independent that you don't know how to take care of a good man. You don't want to be that independent, but to the point where they understand how to deal with them and build who they are.
And socioeconomics.
Yes.
Does that take a role in the girls that you're mentoring, or are you open to all?
Oh, I'm open to everything. I mean, when we come together, it's not just coming together for just one part. Let me tell you, we just had a girls club 2 days ago, and we were just talking about, let's talk about the elections, for example, how this has been this has brought out so much in people. Friendships have been broken up, relationships are being broken up, and these girls understanding what's happening around them as well. it's important for them to build who they are so that they're, like I said, confident in who they are. I mean, I give them financial literacy. I show them just different parts and different aspects of life so that they're prepared. See, I wasn't prepared for some things. Not that I wasn't taught to be prepared, because my parents taught me for sure. I just chose not to take that route. But where you stand, where you are, what you're doing with your life, the directions you decide to go, it's going to make a difference. But you have to pay attention to all of you have to be this well-rounded person in life in order for you even to build who you are. And us as adults, yes, we are beautiful women sitting here, successful women. We're in our businesses, but we cannot say that we haven't or are not dealing with something right now that maybe we don't even know how to handle it. But it's about having the right surroundings around you, talking things out, understanding, being open, so that way you're not just stuck in this whole thing by yourself. And having the right people around you will help you be able to get out something just a little bit easier.
Wow, this is just so powerful.
Go ahead, Anna. I love everything that you share. I love the fact that you rebuild yourself. And I think there's last week we talked a little bit about private parts, if a little bit of reference to what we talked about, but sometimes we're so vulnerable that we don't share those things and there's so many people that are out there that have a pretty smile and we don't realize what they're going through. And we can't tell them, just walk away. We got to learn to teach them the foundation to rebuild themselves. And I just love everything that you share about having a tribe to support you and all the little steps that the little hints that were in there, such as prayer, affirmations, and journal. That was powerful for me.
Thank you.
Lisa, do you want to share?
Her and I, we've got a lot of commonalities. If you watched the show last week, I bared a little about my personal self, and I didn't deal with physical abuse, but a lot of mental, emotional, verbal abuse, which scars forever.
It does.
Heal from, most likely they heal when you've been physically abused. And I'm not saying that's any worse or any better, but it takes so long to heal from those scars of the mental, physical, emotional abuse, right? Mm-hmm. Probably throughout our lifetime, we're still healing from that stuff. And I am so happy that you came out with your book, Promises. And of course, as soon as you released it, I snatched it up because I had to read it to know more of your story, and know more of your background. But I read this book and it definitely resonated with me, and I can see how your story could resonate with so many others and help them heal with what they've been through or what they've gone through or what they're going through. How did writing this book help you?
Let me just give you a little background on how I even started the book. So I had been talking about writing a book, but I didn't think I had enough in me to write as far as typing or writing things out. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of stuff. I talk a lot, but that doesn't mean I can write a lot, right? So I was dating a guy and I was really digging him, and we had been dating for years on and off after my marriage. Met him a year after the divorce, and I fell in love with him. And so one day I was sweeping in my kitchen, and I was like, Lord, why do I love this guy so much? We're not even together. Why do I can't stop thinking about him? Why do I love him? And I kid you not, I heard, you fell in love with his promises. I was like, oh my gosh, I just heard that clearly. So then I called a friend of mine. He's a playwright. And I was like, DeMarco, guess what? I said, I heard this. So I told him the story. He was like, oh, that'll be dope for a play. I'm going to use it. I said, no, you're not. Let me put that in the book first. And so I had the title of my book. So I had the title of my book. I got excited and I just began to write from there. So it actually started because I realized I fell so much in love with the promises of man, not one particular man, but just even going back to what happened with my ex-husband, because the guy I was dating, he was a sweet guy, great guy, but you just know some people you're just not meant to be. A wonderful guy. He's going to be a good husband, and he may be already a husband to somebody else. But great guy. But I fell in love with these things he told me that he was going to do for me, or that we were going to do that we never got to do. So I lived in this fantasy world of, oh yeah, I can't wait till we do this. I was just like a young girl, right? And so then I began to think about my ex-husband, how I fell in love with all of his promises, where he broke them, when he told me that we'll be together forever and he's not going anywhere and he loves me and all of this kind of stuff. Because one thing I do know is love does not hurt. It does not hurt. Love heals. So I looked at that and I just said, you know what? So I just started writing, and then I started thinking about like each one of the titles of each one of the chapters. It talks about like these things that I've heard from man, and then I go into what man has told me, but what God has given me with scripture. So that's where it came from. I honestly don't talk a ton of stuff about my like going deep into my story, because I wasn't ready to share it all. My children are still young. There's some things right now I just don't think I should share in the open about their dad, because I'm protective of them, not him, but protective of them. So I just wanted it to be an encouraging word to people, to know that when you fall in love with the promises of God, you can't go wrong. So I'm just waiting patiently for my Prince Charming, because he's coming. Yes, I will get married again, because I believe in a good man and a good promise of God that's going to come to fruition. But it helped me heal by writing out a lot of my thoughts. So in the back of the book, it's some room for a journal. And I tell people, whatever God has promised you, or whatever you trust that's good for you, whatever your purpose is, write it down, go read it. That way you can go back, even when you're not feeling good, you can go back and read in that journal what was promised to you, because that's what's going to give you joy. When you focus on the positive and not the negative so much, then there's some happiness that can come out of it, and you can heal faster, because you will hurt. Let's be human here. Okay? It does not happen overnight. You're going to hurt, but how do you get out?
Wow. So when clearly we can see how faithful, faith has got to be one of the great pillars in your life.
Absolutely.
And I presume your faith is what helped you get through this.
Absolutely.
How do you take that and now take it over to the girls? Because not every family may follow the same faith.
Correct.
Or have the same belief system. So how do you help the girls with showing your faith?
Well, you know what? I just be me. I'm just me. I'm not going to sugarcoat for anybody. I don't know anybody's religious beliefs. I just know my beliefs. I know that my actions and what I've been through has clearly spoke louder than even my words. So I just share with them the things that I've been through. I let them know the things that I've done in order to help me get out, and that's what helps them. So everybody has their own way of doing things, but I tell people the system that I use has yet to fail me. And so I just tell them one thing they know about Miss Kama is that I keep it real. Everything people know about me, I don't care if you work with me in the real estate industry, if you work with me in an organization, you know I'm not going to sugarcoat who I serve. I'm not going to sugarcoat who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything that I've been through. I'm going to keep it real, and it's up to you to follow, right? You don't have to necessarily follow what I say to do. You can like they said, my old pastor used to always say, like, you can chew up the meat and spit out the bones. So whatever's going to work for you, but it's not. I cannot divert to something else and give some secondary option, because I don't know that secondary option. So my faith is just what it is. And when you look at faith being the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, and you look at fear, where it says fear is false evidence appearing real, like, come on, I want to see what's real. I have faith in the positive and not fear in the negative. So I just tell them what it is. It's up to them whether they want to use it or not. And thank God many of my girls have used it, and I see them growing. I see what they're doing. Some of the girls that have been in the club, so what you do is you be you. I'm just going to say this. You be you. Okay. And don't be afraid of what everybody else is doing and what they have to say, because evil tries to prevail because when you seek to do good, evil is always present. It tries to prevail, but keep doing the good, be who you are, and those that will follow, those that will do what you've done, they will either do it or they don't.
Oh my gosh, I could be here all day just asking questions.
I'm so glad that you expanded on faith, because really that's where it all starts. But sometimes it's just believing in ourselves to be able to open up that Bible and read it, you know, and it's His grace, and it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or you believe in something else, as long as you have faith and you listen to it. And thank you for sharing that. Really, truly do.
You're welcome.
Now you guys can see why I love Kama so much. You know, one of the things I say on the show is that there's no filter, and that's just how I am. I have no filter. I tell you like it is. You know, some people are too sensitive to hear it that way, but oh well, that's me, and I can't adjust myself for someone else.
That's right.
Way too many years doing that.
So last week, Lisa was a little vulnerable, and she shared some information. And you know, you can live in that negativity, and you just keep swimming and swimming and swimming in it, and swirling in your stuff. At some point in time, how did you express or not express that anger or that bitterness or that sorrow to your children?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, my children I'm very open with them. Unfortunately, they were old enough to see some of the stuff. Now, they've never seen anything physical happen. They've seen things verbally. I dealt with times where, like my oldest son, even now, we just think alike, we look alike, we do a lot of things alike. He wouldn't let me be by myself. If something was going on, if I was like, I'm not going in the house, I'm sleeping in the car. Like we've come home from LA a couple of times, and I take them in the car. My oldest son, he was, I want to say maybe 10 or 11 at the time. He was like, nope, I'm not going nowhere. Mom, where you are, I'm going to stay with you. And the other ones were small, so they didn't really know exactly what was happening. So I was just open. I tell people all the time, the first time I left, when I went back to my ex-husband, it was for my children. It was important for me that I wasn't a statistic. I didn't want to have a baby's father over here and then now another husband and another children. I didn't want to have that. So I went back because I wanted us to be a cohesive family, and we talked about doing this. And then I realized I had to leave because of my family. I had to leave because I have a daughter who I didn't want her to think that mom thinks it's okay to be abused by someone. So that's going to be a cycle I'm going to continue to be a part of, because I didn't see that growing up. So I didn't want to start a cycle that I don't want to be the starter of this thing. And then I left also because I didn't want my young men, my boys, to think that, oh, well, if mom's taking this, guess how I'm going to treat the next person. So I went back for them, but I left because of them. So I've been able, the conversations that we have, it wasn't really like a sit down, let's talk about a conversation. It's been conversations literally over the years that I still have with my children, so that they can understand, what I went through, why I did it. What they can never, ever say is mom bashed dad. Ever, ever, ever. They can never say that, because I never bashed him. I would just always say, your dad has some issues, because he clearly did. Your dad has some issues, some internal issues that I took upon myself. And when I realized that I wasn't the problem and it was the problem that he had, I had to go. So I just want to make sure, like if certain things happen with my sons, I tell them, I want you to watch that behavior, or I want you to be very conscious. I want you to, because my son has gotten very upset with his girlfriend, and you know what, he'll walk away. Things I was like, why couldn't his dad just walk away? But his thing is, I don't want to do what dad did, So I try to have these real life conversations with them. I share things about them, and sometimes I'll just talk, an abusive person is like this, or I'm like this because I went through this, and I'm still trying to understand and trying to figure out things over here. So that's the way we have our conversations, and it's ongoing. It's not something you can talk about and then just go on about your life and that's it. But I think that's what's helped me and my children draw closer and continue to be close and close and close, because we can have these conversations. We can be real without me calling him out of his name, without me bashing him for what he did, because I do believe that somebody that abused somebody has a sick problem. I really do. And it's something internal and they need to get it checked. So I don't bash him like that. I pray for him. I've forgiven him.
Thank you so much for coming today. We
Thank you for having me.
appreciate you spending time with us. This was amazing. When we're sitting in the comfort zone, just the three of us, I should say, without you, I'm sure that this conversation will come up again and we'll be addressing a few things ourselves personally.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was great to virtually finally see you, Kama.
You know, it's been such a long time. I'm ready to go outside.
Yes. And, thank you everyone for joining us today in the comfort zone. We hope that our visit with Kama was amazing, because I certainly thought that was it was full of information and so uplifting, and it's so nice to see that women can really help women, and that's what we're here for. Lisa and Anna and I, when we decided that we were going to do this, we wanted to empower you, we wanted to share with you, and we wanted you to join us in our journey. Until next week, thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.
One of the things we'll do is we will ramble.
Let's just go with it. Whatever happens, happens.
Okay?